It's my understanding that the previous superintendent and teachers took a pay cut in order to help out the district. In contrast, this majority of board is trying to ramrod through a salary of $280,000.
I'd like to address the superintendent selection and the tentative agreement. I'd like to first say how disappointed I was to not be able to address you on Tuesday, because I had some really important information to give you, considering my experience with Mr. Newman of Ray & Associates, as he was explaining to me the superintendent selection process. He assured me, and I was really hoping I was actually going to be able to come up here and thank you for some transparency. He assured me that he was going to work with you individually to reach consensus. Obviously, it didn't happen. And quite honestly, every 3-2 vote is like a stab in the heart here. And to respectfully articulate how I feel when I see decisions being made up here out of 3-2 without consensus, pro or against what I believe in, quite honestly, you might as well just be sticking your middle finger up at us.
And I hope to see from him some fiscal responsibility that I frankly think has been lacking. I'm not as pleased with the terms. $280,000 a year for someone who has not served as a superintendent before does seem a bit excessive.
Based on that dialogue, contract revisions have been made and presented to the Board of Education for review. I'm going to ask each board member to move for any changes they would like to the draft agreement we have in front of us. Ms. Dahlkemper, we have a motion and a second, and this is discussion on that motion.
I think it's important for us to have full understanding first of this issue before we even begin to talk about the contract. Now, it may very well be that it's not an issue.
Yeah, I'm not certain why you would raise issues of someone that might be.
Well, I think it's important to know
Would you want people raising issues that might happen to you?
You know what, if we're going to hire somebody and they might have litigation, I think that's something we need to know about.
You all might have litigation.
Lawsuit.
Yeah, no, there was actually, I believe, a complaint or notice of complaint. I don't know if that's the correct legal term that was filed saying that a lawsuit would be coming. Now again, it may be a non-issue, but I think that it's important that we as a board voting on this contract have awareness of where that issue stands. That's all I'm asking, if we're focused on the best interests of Jeffco Public Schools. Mr. Brandon?
Is there any comment you'd like to?
Mr. Witt, when were you notified that Mr. McMinimee could be named in this lawsuit?
Ms. Dahlkemper, much like Mr. Branham, I'm not going to discuss things which might happen. We'll discuss things which do.
Mr. Witt, I believe you were notified in that room after our last board meeting last Tuesday, but none of your colleagues on the board were notified by you in particular. When were you planning to tell us about this?
Were you notified, Ms. Dahlkemper?
When were you, as our board chair,
notified,
planning
Ms.
to tell us about it?
I'm pretty
3
sure.
days later, we were
pretty sure
notified, you're not even transparent with your own board.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to allow the superintendent to get a 12-month buyout instead of 6. It is the standard, it is what Dr. Stevenson had, and it's the right thing to do.
Is there a second? Second. Discussion?
We talked about this long and hard at the last meeting, that Mr. McMinimee is a newcomer. We want to value his experience, but we question the buyout. The golden parachute of 1 year was a question, and we talked about the 6 months as a possible compromise.
And there's a motion to change it.
Ms. Dahlkemper? No. Ms. Bellman? No. Mr. Newkirk?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Witt?
Yes. I move to change the words no later than August 15th, 2014. The superintendent and the Board of Education will cooperatively develop a plan for performance-based salary payments.
Maybe what we could do is, since we can't set specific goals until October, I'm wondering if we could maybe think about the categories those goals would be in, such as, and maybe put that.
They were actually mentioned in the contract.
I'm
Can you read
so
that?
tired of being interrupted, Mr. Witt. Thank you.
I'm just pointing out the
like to make a motion to propose these following changes to the contract. I move that we move to a year-to-year contract, not a 3-year contract. That we reduce the annual salary to $200,000, so it's commensurate with experience.
And so the 220, you're not happy with 220?
Mr. Witt, please don't interrupt me. I'd like to ensure that any performance pay does not exceed $20,000. I want to also move, this is part of one big motion, cap payout at $100,000 or up to 6 months of the annual $200,000 salary. Do not reimburse the superintendent for his personal contribution to para made during the term of his contract.
Mr. Alcaraz, Ms. Feldman, a few short months ago, you were arguing for the $280,000 figure.
As I said last
We were
month,
suggesting lower figures, and now it seems to have reversed. Why is that?
as I said 2 weeks ago, when we were provided a chart with misleading information or not complete information, we made the best decision at the time that we had. Then when we had other information given to us, we have to, as leaders in this district, look at the information we were given, and we owe it to our community to change what we said. That is what I said 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to stand by that.
And this draft has a 220,000 base salary.
I still disagree with that.
Well, let's also be really clear. You're right, $220,000 base salary, $40,000 performance pay, and reimburse all para contributions. Looks like we're back at $280,000 again. Nice shell game with taxpayer dollars.
All right, here's what you've done. You have taken a number that you suggested, a number that was advertised for months, a number that attracted a good group of people. We interviewed 12 of 6, and you have changed that at the last minute.
Mr. Newkirk, how is that any different than what you did 2 weeks ago when you gave us scenarios with 220 and 240,000 as the base? I simply took the base salary and said, you know what, commensurate to the experience that Mr. McMinimee is bringing to our district, commensurate to his academic credentials, commensurate with the fact that he has not yet been a superintendent. Let's look at his first year of contract, not his last. This is what I came up with. It's a suggestion.
And Mr. Newkirk, I would also ask how that's any different from this board telling the community that we would vet 2 to 3 finalists for the superintendent position and then coming back with only one finalist.
You're well aware that we interviewed, and I'm not sure, I'm at liberty to say how much went on in executive session. You want to call them semi-finalists, finalists?
No, the difference is that we interviewed them behind closed doors during the executive session. What I'm suggesting is that we should have brought 2 to 3 finalists forward to vet with our public.
And we were not at liberty to disclose their names.
Oh, Mr. Newkirk, that's not right.
There's an alarming trend in education, in my opinion, of superintendents walking away from performance components so they don't get evaluated or they don't have to go through an evaluation process. I'm familiar with districts very near and dear to our hearts where that happened for more than 1 year.
Mr. Wood, which district are you referring to that's near and dear to our heart?
I believe Dr. Stevenson didn't take her.
You know why Dr. Stevenson didn't take her performance pay? Because all of the employees took a 3% compensation reduction.
I don't understand.
She refused that performance pay because we were in tough economic times. No strong, responsible leader in their right mind would have accepted performance pay when the district is looking at more than $70 million in cuts over a couple of years. Yes, Ms. Feldman.
Yes, Mr. Newkirk.
No.
Ms. Williams. No. Mr. Witt.
No. Are there any other proposed changes?
You all quit.
We have a final draft of the offer. McMinimee. Is there a motion to accept this draft as amended?
I move that we accept the draft as amended.
I second.
Roll call.
Ms. Dahlkemper? No. Ms. Dahlman? No. Mr. Newkirk?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Witt?
Yes.
Crooks.